everyone. Today we are covering FatGirlFlow. She was originally going to be one of the first people that I covered, but then a week before I was going to start this, I actually went to record her as my first one, and her account had been scrubbed clean, especially of TikTok in particular that I had wanted to introduce, which involved her sobbing while what's the term for this? Stitching. I'm old. I'm sorry. Stitching another TikTok of someone drawing a generally fat character, and watching it, I felt like it was the reaction that she gave. It didn't feel performative, but it felt like there were some underlying issues that were being expressed. She also had several, fat acceptance videos that I'd want to review, all scrubbed clean. So now this is the extent of her channel. We're going to go ahead and look at all of them. I'm guessing I'm going to be skipping quite a few, and we're just going to hone in on the ones that cover fat acceptance. And chances are this is going to be a fairly short video, so I'm going to be looking at another creator later in the week, most likely.
Okay, yes, put the bikini on. Put the bikini on. Absolutely, put the bikini on. And I just stick with me here. I just want to talk about this. The reason just putting the bikini on works is not because bikinis are magical. I mean, they look magical, they're wonderful, but there is a reason behind this. And that reason is because when we go out into the world and we show ourselves that nothing terrible is going to happen, which it usually doesn't when you put the bikini on, we reinforce the fact that we are capable of doing things that are hard for us. So when you put the bikini on, what you're doing is showing yourself that you are capable of doing hard things. Now, there are going to be times when something bad happens when you're trying to do something hard, and that's going to tell you that you can't do the hard thing. But we want to practice doing the hard thing and getting that positive feedback as many times as possible so that when it is actually hard, we're capable. Okay, yes, put the...
So, oddly enough, I don't disagree with her here, although I have a slightly different perspective. I think everyone has heard, and unfortunately it often comes from a villain's line. That's what I remember it from, although I can't remember which particular villain. I know it was a villain, though. Actually, you know what? It was Aunt Lydia. So, not a great reference, but the point when it's not something horrific still stands. And that is by normalizing something for yourself, like putting on the bikini. I don't want to go into difficulty levels. To me, that wouldn't necessarily be hard, and I'm not a person that wears bikinis. I tend to be rather conservative in my dress, and that's just a matter of comfort level for me. I don't like showing a whole lot of skin. It took me a while to get comfortable going out in athletic leggings that really kind of stick to you and show your shape, because it was just not a comfortable thing for me. I wouldn't have defined that as hard, just something to get used to. And there is that concept of normal is what you're used to. So if you're not used to putting on a bikini, it's going to seem very foreign to you and likely uncomfortable because it's not what you're used to. By putting on the bikini and normalizing it for yourself, I don't know if I would qualify it as hard, but that's not really my place. But it is a matter of normalizing those things for yourself. I'm glad that FatGirlFlow, though, has couched this into a matter of personal growth rather than an act of radical protest or whatever. Because we've seen fat acceptance people say that by eating a donut out in public is radical act. And FatGirlFlow isn't couching the concept of putting on a bikini in that way. She is couching it largely in a matter of personal growth, personal acceptance, and personal behavior reinforcement, which I think is fine, and I actually think is pretty good. I guess I shouldn't get caught up on what's hard, because something that's easy for some person is hard for another, all based on what we seem as normal. Ultimately, though, I kind of like this TikTok because I like that it's basing it based on like your personal experience, not on what is a radical act.
Hi, this is your reminder that commenting on someone's looks, even if it is unintended, can often have a negative impact on our self-worth. Our brains process those as judgments, and anytime we feel we're being judged, our brains are starting to feel attacked. So it's best to just not comment on people's physical form.
This is another one where I'm hedging a little bit. One, I think that saying that all comments on someone's body or something is perceived as a judgment and therefore your brain feels attacked. One is, I think, a very oversimplification on what's actually going on in that interaction, because it's not that it's I don't think that it's so much a matter of judgment, it's a perception of inclusion or non-inclusion, which someone could probably argue is, I'm arguing semantics. I don't think I am, because I think there is a distinct difference between the two of judgment versus inclusion and non-inclusion. Judgment is more actionable, which I don't think most people are doing when they're giving you a compliment, as to where inclusion is more like this subtle aligning with a person, and it's not even that strong. I think even alignment is kind of a strong word, but acknowledging you look good, or I like your dress, or your makeup looks wonderful, or I love your hair. I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. Granted, not everyone would welcome those sorts of comments, so there is a little bit of a what's appropriate. I think if it's between friends, like, there's an understanding of what's comfortable there. I don't think even a stranger saying maybe this wouldn't be a comment on the body so much as the accessories, but I love your dress, I love your hair. I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. Some people could take offense to it, but I think that they're in the minority. Well, and they're talking specifically about commenting on someone's body, and I just wish there was an example of what she means by this. Because it's like, are you saying if someone's commenting that you look fabulous in that dress, is that commenting on your body or is that commenting on the dress? If someone's like, you look wonderful today, are they complimenting the overall fit, or are they complimenting the body based on what FatGirlFlow thinks? And that's where I'm getting a little bit of struggle with understanding exactly what they mean here, is where is the line? Where's the line for them? Yeah, thoughts? This video is definitely going to be a lot where I ask you your thoughts, because a lot of these claims that she puts out, or it's not even really claims, I feel like it's just more opinions, and I'm responding to the opinions on this one. It can be taken a number of ways, so I'd really like to hear your input.
Actually, this does apply to getting healthy, even though nobody owes you fucking health. And that's why putting on the bikini and other small steps towards believing in your worth are so important, because eventually you are going to face adversity in things like medical fat phobia. And the idea is that we build upon our experiences so that we feel more confident and more worthy of care in instances when we are against big systemic issues. Because we all know that putting on a bikini is just the tiny little first step of this, right? The real goal in all of this is revolution.
And disappointment. Okay. Completely disagree. I was all for that TikTok with her in the bikini and saying, it's about getting comfortable and normalizing it for yourself. That's totally fine, especially if that's something that you want. If you want to be comfortable going out in a bikini no matter your size and enjoying the beach or enjoying a day out with friends, and you don't want to feel left out and you want to be comfortable enough in your skin to wear that bikini out, totally fine. I was all in support for that, but calling it a revolution hurts my brain. And the idea of that putting on the bikini is a way to galvanize yourself, basically, to be able to handle medical fat phobia and oppression. It takes what was originally a fine message, that I felt originally a fine message, and turns it into this something that it doesn't really need to be. It's not, you don't need a revolution. Medical fat phobia, I don't like calling it fat phobia, but there is sometimes a bias with doctors. I've talked about this before, but a bias with doctors of not looking into potential issues because of weight, and people that had like uterine cancer and stuff were ignored, and that's not something that we want to happen. I feel like there's I feel like there's a middle ground though that we're missing, and I still haven't even found it yet, of not necessarily going completely with the way things are now, but also not turning it into this whole movement of like medical fat phobia and something that needs to be completely combated, and that weight has absolutely no impact on your health. Like there's a middle ground here that everyone just feels like everyone's missing, or we just haven't found it yet. But it's like try to lose the weight, and if you lose a little bit of weight, it doesn't work, then of course go into something else. But then how do you handle those instances where it was like cancer that needed to be treated immediately? Where is the line for that? What is there any sort of like generalized testing that could be done? I don't think so. From what I understand from with medical tests is that you tend to test for a specific thing, or like an umbrella of things, but it's not like this big generalized test. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is here, but I don't think that the answer is that by putting on the bikini you are going to become a warrior for uh against medical fat phobia, and that the answer is to treat fatness like a just non-issue. I don't think that's the answer either, and I don't really think it's a revolution to combat that. At the same time, I understand that there are certain circumstances where it's an issue, and even if they're few and far between, it does increase that fear of, is this my situation? Regardless of the prevalence of it, it's scary. It's scary, especially when you think it could happen to you. So I understand that, and I feel sorry for them for that. I feel like there's something in the middle here that could be done, and not just say, no, be as fat as you want, 600 pounds isn't that big of a deal, 400 pounds isn't that big of a deal. I disagree with that. Like, that's still a big issue, and I do think that the doctor mentioning your weight and mentioning weight loss isn't a bad thing, especially in cases of serious obesity or even minor obesity. My doctor's talked to me about that, and I've been working on losing weight and all of that, and so there's there's a middle ground here. I know there is. Alright, so it says, me telling all my internet besties about my body liberation course and hoping they'll share it because I want everyone to learn how to be happy and content in their bodies. And no matter how much therapy I went to, there are concepts that nobody ever told me about, and I think it's about time we all learn them. So, I always find it super questionable when someone that is preaching for changes in the system or whatever also put out courses for. My question is she making money off this? I guess most of them are. Some of them do put out some free stuff, so I don't know. If someone wants to look at it and see if there's anything to glean, even people that are barely above amateur can have some interesting insights into certain concepts. That being said, I think creating a course and acting like you're an authority on it when you have no professional background in it can be a bit of an issue, and you can teach people some wrong things. Even in things like art courses, I will take an art course from someone who isn't a professional, but I go in with a grain of salt, because to a certain extent, by going through a standardized process, you learn to avoid certain mistakes that autodidacts often fall into. It's not that one is inherently terrible, but there's something to be gained from a professional telling you first, and then going to some of the more self-taught people that could have potentially interesting insights that you internalize for yourself for whatever it is that you're looking into. But I don't think it's a place to start.
I'm not posting body positivity inspiration. I'm posting a thirst trap. I'm a slut.
I'm just also fat. I'm not posting body positive.
Oh, okay. I mean, do you, girl? Alright. This was a weird one for me, and I don't even know how to respond to it. But I felt like it was something to share, so we're gonna leave it here, and I'm gonna move on.
My boyfriend and I are on the verge of breaking up right now because I just said, let's go get milkshakes. And he was like, yeah, let's go get you one.
Please, dear God, the thin people are not okay. Please, please quit making this show up on my For You page. This is terrible. Yeah, I'll take my bagel that you just got up and made me because I wanted a fucking bagel. And you don't need your partner to eat things with you because that's fucking weird. Eat food.
I gotta be honest, I kind of see her point with this one. I've seen that the stitched TikTok in a lot of places. A couple of people have given different perspectives on it, and I understand that the general point is that she doesn't want to drink the milkshake alone and wants like the excuse of her boyfriend or something going with her. So whatever, I don't think that that's a healthy reaction personally, and I don't think that she was seriously going to break up with her boyfriend. I haven't really looked into it that much, and I don't really plan to because it's beside the point. And to a certain extent, I kind of agree with FatGirlFlow here. You don't need your partner to eat everything with you to justify you wanting to have it. Either you want to have it and you understand that it might be a poor food choice, and or it might be excessive based on what you've eaten today, and you have to take responsibility for the excess calories that you're taking in, or if it's like, you know what, this is my weekly treat, or what have you. The girl in the original video is clearly not fat, so she can probably afford to have, caloric wise, afford to have a good milkshake. And I think that insisting that your partner partake in it with you, even when they don't want the milkshake, is a bit toxic, personally. That being said, coming from a fat acceptance person, that I think FatGirlFlow is also an intuitive eater. And a lot of those intuitive eating rhetorics, there's different variations of intuitive eating. I don't know which one FatGirlFlow adheres to, but I've seen intuitive eating rhetoric that's like, you are full to the point where you feel sick, but you still want that extra donut, and everyone's like, yeah, eat that extra donut. Like, yeah, that's fucking weird too. The answer between these two is in the middle. Take stock of what you've eaten so far this week, if you want to expend the calories on it. If you want to do something to combat the calories that you've taken in, be that eat lighter the next day, go for some extra exercise, or what have you. But I don't think that the first goal was right either. So.
Okay, in 2020, it was like very cool to see a fat girl with a hot buff guy. But y'all, it is 2022. What fucking year is it? And we have seen some shit, okay? And here's what I know. I know that I don't give a fuck about that buff guy. I never did, but I especially just don't fucking care now. And I'm so happy that you learned that being fat does not preclude you from the dating pool. In fact, like, fat people are really fucking hot. So maybe this trend of like showing your worth just because your partner is hot could stop now, because it's just boring. Okay.
Another one where I gotta be honest, I don't disagree with her. I think that trying to prove, although I think I think I agree with her based on a different set of terms than what she's viewing. Trying to say my morbid obesity is valid because I was able to pull this exceptionally attractive person is such a terrible mindset for so many reasons. We'll go one with getting your sense of validation externally, meaning that you're getting your validation for your worth and as a person based on who you can pull romantically and or sexually, which is rife with mental health issues on that one. And then on top of it, let's say that you are the most attractive fat person in the world and you can get literally anybody you want. Let's just put that aside. That doesn't stop the fact that you are at high levels of predisposition for high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, that all of those things. Who you can pull doesn't validate your obesity. Who you can date, and no matter how attractive they are, does not validate your obesity one way or the other. It doesn't inherently prove that strictly looking at who you can pull romantically and or sexually does not validate your obesity, and it does not invalidate your obesity. Like it is a zero sum fucking game on that one, because there's so many things that can go into someone wanting to be with you romantically or sexually. And sometimes there's no reason at all. But putting that aside, your obesity is still an issue for so many other more important reasons. How do your joints feel? How have you been getting through your everyday life? What is your mobility like? Those are the bigger things that you should ask yourself when trying to be okay with your morbid obesity. Because if the answer to those is like, not well, I struggle being able to fit into the average seat, that's a sign. I struggle to walk any significant distance, that's a sign. I have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, my joints hurt, I am easily out of breath, my heart races when I walk a block. All those things, reasons to look into maybe your obesity not being a good thing.
I'm living as boxers. I'm being a good wife.
It says, when you want to relate to this trend, but you're instantly out at, I'm wearing his boxers because you're fat as fuck and could never wear his boxers. I mean, you could wear his boxers if you're dating a fat man. That's a possibility. I'm just saying. I'm just, like, this is... Isn't this technically a bit fatphobic to say that fat girls wouldn't date fat men that they could fit into their box? I'm just a question. It's just a question, because I think that it's interesting that they'll say things like, I feel fat, or like one size fits all clothing is fatphobic because it doesn't fit the fat girls. Isn't this a bit fatphobic, assuming that no fat girl would date an equally fat or fatter man? Just a question. Just a question, because that's what you're insinuating here. So we've reached the end of FatGirlFlow. These two were a little fat acceptancy, but they weren't anything that I could comment on, really. It's a slow motion walking out of the pool. This is her showing off a bikini set from a sustainable brand and asking for others to do the same. There's not really anything for me to comment on these. So we're going to take a quick look at her links. Let's see. Full Circle, Body Liberation, Stop Giving a Fuck, free video series on body confidence. Get updates. I don't want updates. I don't want merch. Take a quick look at the YouTube and where to shop for plus size clothing. I don't care. So, introducing Full Circle, Body Liberation, How to Stop Giving a Fuck. So, is this just an article? No! Oh, fuck. Originally, basically $500, and now it's down to $125. I do wonder if this was truly an original price or if it's put up there to make this seem like a really good value. But $125, goddamn. Alright, let's see what the other one is. How to build confidence by making peace with your body. Join this free mini course. Then I'm not signing up for this. I'm sorry. I was willing to watch one or two, but I'm not signing up and getting this shit in my email. I'm not doing it. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Fashion stuff. All of this is fair, like, oldish, though. Not, like, old, given that I was going over for, like, a year's worth. But I don't really care about the try-on hauls. Where can I get confidence? I make easy things look hard. Puppy and nonsense. Fat yoga. I don't think any of this is really worth reviewing, except maybe How to Survive Holiday Diet Talk, but that's a year old, and I don't know if I feel like going over a 13-minute video. The beauty of these TikToks is that I'm not watching any particular point from within, I think it's 3 minutes. I might go over one or two of these videos in the future, but I'm not sure. And I think that's it for FatGirlFlow. This was an under 45-minute video, though, especially since I'll be cutting out quite a bit of it. So we will be looking at someone else next time, which will be this week. So 2 videos this week, I guess is my point. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.